Good evening. I am here. Normal time, which is unfortunate. I was hoping again to be here a little earlier, but I had to really take care of my throat after work today. My throat is very, very sore, and I'm also very, very tired from work again. So, little change of plans and how the streams were going. Originally, it was going to be this yesterday, Neo, The World Ends With You today, and Fuga tomorrow. Fuga is already out, so I'm going to finish the first trial of Great Ace Attorney Adventures tonight. I think I'm in the last section of it. And then I'm going to move on to Fuga tonight, and then tomorrow when I get Neo, The World Ends With You, I'll be playing that on stream, which will technically be part 2, because I already played the demo. And then I'll take a break for a couple days and come back refreshed with some new shit, I guess. Or more of this, rather. Again, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to handle doing the Great Ace Attorney, just because it's a lot of reading, and this is the shortest case, and I spent an entire stream and didn't even finish it. It's going to be a long road. I don't think this is a game I'll be, like, blasting through very quickly. I think this will be, like, maybe, like, two times a week for, like, an hour and a half each type thing. But we'll see. Maybe aim to do, like a case a week and have it last 10 weeks or something. We'll see how it works out. But yeah, I am, we're closing in on the end of this trial. We found out that the victim had a burn mark from the restaurant plate on his arm. And, the lady, we kind of assumed that he wasn't shot and he may have been poisoned. We cannot prove that, though. But at the last moment, the young lady with the professor at the beginning has shown up. And it is now 1:14 p.m. Japan time, JST, on the 22nd of November, in the Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. Oh, I didn't do a soundtrack. Trek? Like a Star Trek, but with sound? Okay. Hopefully my throat coat has healed my throat up nice. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it sounds good. I caught the end of the Star Trek joke. Joke, in quotation marks. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant in the defense, but why the sudden ingress into my courtroom? A judicial assistant? And a woman, no less! The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency... I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's. After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty, and borrowed this paper. Oh, yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare? Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word before. Time's up! The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful. Thank you. Giselle's report has been entered into the court record. A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett was researching during her time at Yume University. Goodbye, then, and good luck. You've had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but...
The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency.
Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett?
Yes, Your Excellency?
If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid... It's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett, it seems I wasn't clear. I realized it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? We have to examine this thing. A poison made from the bark of certain trees and jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. The above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full-body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation.
Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett, we understand that you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? Oops, I did not give him the voice. A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Kilala? Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? What complete and utter nonsense! Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it!
You wouldn't have done. You wouldn't have done? What? You wouldn't have done. Okay.
What do you mean?
I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Curare. There we go. Curare. Why? Because there is no test available that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison.
What?
Order! Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authorized by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists.
To lace their arrows?
The report states that it's produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle. And it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. Oh, so it's early 1900s. It's not late 1800s. It claims that animals shot by arrows released by Curer suffer instant death. Okay, how do you actually pronounce that? I have a phone. Why don't I just look it up? Kyrie. Oh, it's Kyrie. What? Hold on. Curare. Oh. Oh, the Y isn't a... Okay, Curare. Doesn't that sum it up? Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery! These aspirations are utter trumpery! To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain. The other diners would have surely noticed.
That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around.
What do you mean, the other way around?
The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that Curer was used. I've already forgotten it. Curer. Fuck. Curare. There we go. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all.
How terrible.
Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? Yes, you don't know what that is? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move.
That's hideous.
To the observer, it would look almost as if the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. Ugh. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. There we go. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
How do we know?
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing? What a happy tale for the defense!
If I may.
All these facts. You think you're so clever, but you must be taught some...
It is you who must be taught.
Of course. Dear lady!
So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it?
What?
You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it! The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules!
What's so funny? Oh, excuse me. Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? Oh, shit. Oh, that's a surefire. Oh, this is like the first case of Ace Attorney 3, just, the opposite. She's drinking it to prove it's not poisoned, as opposed to, Payne not taking the medicine to prove it wasn't. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry. To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Need some water. I had some throat coat to fix my throat a bit, and it's great, but it dries your mouth out afterwards. Like, you can't just drink that and get right back to it. You still need to hydrate. To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no cured, eh? The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time. For the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. Yes, it's continuing, just for a short period of time, though. I want to move on to Fuga as soon as I finish the first case of this. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for an interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke, we have all the clues now. That bottle of water. Oops, I didn't realize that's what... The culprit did put Kiride poison in Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool, are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. Oh, I must have picked the right argument. How, exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well, if the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? It's not poison if it's not poison if it drank. It's not poisonous if ingested through the mouth, only through an open wound.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation.
No?
After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency.
I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Oh, what? Let me look at it with the magnifying glass. Special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this kumate poison. And it's left me curious about something. Oh, counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat.
Get to the point, please.
But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So, surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, counsel, no. That would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see. That makes sense. Yes. 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 The mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Kirare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Kirare's special characteristics. And you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... Oh god, it's alive. Rapscallion! Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
Objection!
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, Kirare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. I got some gastric succus right here. Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? That's right. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand. No? Order. Order in the court. Order. The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest...
Yes, this Curaday poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial.
That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this? Rolling up inside me. Look, that happens when you see pretty ladies. Don't worry about it. I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense. Almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
I don't think so, Mr. Zalebrett. Woo. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Hey, he finally said it. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, but you must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested, why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the Curaday? Entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction with the use of anesthesia. Actually, that doesn't seem to make sense, though, because why would he have taken that from... Why would he gotten poisoned at the dentist? It can't be the burn wound, because he was already dead when he got burned. There is a wound here, but he was already dead at that point when he was shot. Well, let's submit the medical report card. As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. Oh, I was right. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. Fatal difference? The toxic effects of Curaday are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. Oh! When he drank the water, the poison went into where his molar was extracted. And it got into his muscles. So for a completely healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already, excuse me, that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are all so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, never know what might happen to it. No! I mean, it could just slip. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No! What is it? What just happened? It's the English woman. She just smashed that bottle. And into the Supreme Court. What a terrible blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible, at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. How could you? You won't get away with this. You could thump the bench and shout as much as you'd like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle, or not. You... And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course! You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady? That's right. And really, looking at this photograph, it makes me laugh. It's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting here with his back to me. So of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy.
Objection!
No, you killed the victim that day, using kirare. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. Where's the gun? A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now... Is she really going to get away with it? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke. Yes? We've come this far, but now you're the only one who could finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head. Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? Actually, Kazuma, again, the prompts come up and I don't even realize it. They usually highlight them in green when that happens. I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. But how will we prove it? You always have something. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then, let's wipe this smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. All right, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been is... a fork? I mean, that's obviously side blood. That's not blood from the steak.
Take that!
Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes? What is it? Ugh, he's still miles away. Probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day?
Objection!
Wait a minute, where are you going with the... Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base plate of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Oh yeah, it's not there in that photo. Not there in that photo either. Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Ah! Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon?
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to just believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Hold it!
This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean... Yes, I took the plate. In the interests of preserving the... Yes, I took the plate. In the interests of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we could find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it, now! I like how they have the legal documents on their desk. It's a neat little touch. Inspector? The court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir! You know, the steak is still there. Sorry for the delay. Here's what you ordered. The steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man, show the court. The bloodman. Of course, examine the plate at your leisure. No. No blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible! I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of that plate. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Ah! I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace. Ugh. I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire. Fucking Teaboo. I believe we may finally have reached a conclusion in this trial. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. The plate of steak has been entered into the court record. Meal was spread ordered for lunch. It was removed from the victim's table after the incident. Was the plate I saw or thought I saw just a figment of my imagination? This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke. Emblem on the side of the plate. Is it a cat? It's a cow, obviously. Most likely because the restaurant's signature dish is beef steak. Seems a lot of different restaurants have their own unique tableware. So this is the symbol of La Carnival, is it? Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. Oh shit. No, I don't mean what is it? I mean, what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion. A bullion and a billion. Bullion and bullion. There we go. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... Certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoei era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well. What, are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. A Koban coin underneath this steak. There's only one logical explanation. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. Believe in myself. Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. Maybe there's a coin under there. Maybe. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of the evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth.
Objection!
The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beef steak.
Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show to the court what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beef steak is this new clue to be found? Wait, what? I have to sit through this again? Oh no. Oh my god. Why can't I skip this? I've seen this text already. Oh, I have to present it. Shit.
Got it!
Good gracious, that's... Koban? What on earth? A Hoey error one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant in the day in the question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat?
Shut up!
What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Objection!
I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoey Koban just happens to be hidden underneath a piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency? Yes, Counsel? A rare Hoey Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now.
Objection!
By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway.
Shut up!
Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it could belong to. The owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beef steak is...
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kiryo Korikuda-san. Curie? As in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with this Koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired. I already read that dialogue yesterday. And this Hoera Koban, do you mean to tell me...
Objection!
No, please, why would Korikuda-san's Koban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense!
Yes!
Which is why I'm asking to bring Korikuda-san back to the witness stand, so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. I can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch. A strong hunch. A hunch to munch, which I'm going to do right now, actually. Hold on. Damn it! It tore incorrectly. I'm in the mood for a meat stick here. If we chase down the real significance of this Koban, we'll find that it's a key element in this case. Gotta admit, did not expect this to last this long again. What's all this about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom, myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more I have to say. The sun is set on this Rasute shop's owner's existence. Be that as it may, Korikuda-san, something else has come to light that requires your clarification. I got cut off really quickly. As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever seen this Koban be... Yes, that's it. The one, the very exact one, that is. The resplendent, splendiferous Hoei treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. Yo, is this knife in that dude's foot? It can't be! As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly it couldn't have fallen there by accident. Which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing! Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah, yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation. Witness stand is getting kind of crowded. Le Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Why would they come to Japan to eat Western food? Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip this case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. To be fair, in Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney, I think there's a part where the witness stand is like 10 people on it towards the end of the game. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at the work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Korakuda-san's Koban is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Kurokawa-san's Koban and hid it under the stake? It's either gotta be Susato Mikotoba, 16, the judicial assistant of the defense lawyer Kazuma Asogi. It's gotta be Giselle, right?
Take that!
Yes, seems like a likely candidate for Koban thief. No, come on, Ryunosuke. Okay, so it's not her. Huh? You shocked me, Kazuma. Not as much as you shocked me. No one could have approached the table unnoticed. Even if you're a crazy fool, you couldn't miss that. I'm not sure you should be calling Korakuda-san a crazy fool, Kazuma. It was you I was calling the crazy fool. Maybe I'm on the wrong track here? I don't believe I heard you correctly, Counsel. Let me hear your opinion on this matter again.
Take that!
Yesa. Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant Iesa Nosa. What? How? How dare you? You monster! Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of Le Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido! Ido was the mastermind behind all this. Sorry, one sec. I think we're getting distracted. This is not the crime we were trying to resolve. Well, I mean, why is the Koban under the stake, though? Why is it under the lady's stake? You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa. Clippity cloppity, clippity cloppity, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop. Did he just break his back? Look, he's got Wario mustache now. Nippon Imperial Army, Sergeant Iesa Nosa, preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages of the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remain in place. And I've heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes? All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I enjoyed chopping my way through a good steak at the same time. Sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido, too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous again with it at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time. Well, Miss Brett. Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. Hoi! May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, your excellency? Indeed. The theft of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Excuse me. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well, oof. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Very well, now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. Yonosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry? You could think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Attention!
What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Why am I rereading this? As for picking up your steak and biting it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm going to need to see some evidence, Counsel. If Miss Brett's words are truly contradictory, where is the evidence to prove it? It's gotta be... I was gonna say the fork kind of looks like it's been used. The knife's definitely been used.
Take that!
A photographic print of the scene taken immediately after the incident occurred. What's interesting is the plate of steak that you could see on the victim's table. The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed, yes. Go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Oh, it's the meat itself. Noticed what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Now I want hibachi. And take a good look at this steak, in particular, the edge at where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Ah, oh. Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in that steak at all.
Objection!
But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry and couldn't help her. Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, this will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie here in his place. Just leave every... Whoa. I've heard enough, you irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. Dear lady! What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we... ruffled your feathers? Clearly the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks on the steak have for her. Yunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes, now at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the blood stain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks on the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks on the steak here amount to the conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase. Typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't even been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been? What? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean the evidence doesn't exist.
Objection!
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours over already. I know, seriously. And you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it.
Objection!
I don't, but there is someone who does. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well, I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair?
Take that!
Hosonaga, obviously. The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this stake with the teeth marks. Yes? Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoyed chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing Korakuda-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. Now, you watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the stake that you put in the coin under, in fact, your own stake? Attention! Affirmative, of course! I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling our meal to hide something in it. In other words, the stake the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
Objection!
But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table.
Objection!
Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have an opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly, surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over. You did switch the plates? Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With my military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have... I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you, so yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable! However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? Operation Blitz? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that's all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
Wham. So if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak, and the plate it was on, back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve the evidence, you had taken both. Ah. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot.
Shut up!
can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? It can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of this one, lady. No, you're not wiggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you. No? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see your plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate was the table directly behind Dr. Wilson. There was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir! Sorry for keeping you. Here's the other steak in its plate. Please, feel free to examine it. The blood stain is clearly visible. Look!
Yes!
Now this makes everything clear. The blood you could see on this side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruto-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right. Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! Oh, here we go. Our first breakdown. Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No. No. No! I am not doing a long scream now. Absolutely not. It is 1:30 in the morning. I do not do long screams on stream. Look at the birds. I love it. Series breakdowns are pure gold every time. Yeah. I gotta say, for a first victim breakdown, that's good. Best first breakdown of a victim, or not of a victim, of the villain, I would have to say would be I don't know. All the 3D games have amazing breakdowns. I would say Spirit of Justice and Dual Destinies. The first guy for both of those, the first guilty person for both of them have great breakdowns. The true villain in Dual Destinies, too. Even Spirit of Justice. As much as I criticize Spirit of Justice for being extremely long and sloggy, it has very good moments in it. Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life, using Kirare. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you plan to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison could be found in his water. Because kirare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would be all over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he'd been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of kirare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right, there were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Placed where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun, as I intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point, he was already dead. 1 second. Sorry, had to watch a very quick 8-second video. Even at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. The Baber appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the opera. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he'd picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Your Excellency? Yes? I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you could forgive me, Naruhodo-san. It would seem this trial has finally run its course, but why did she kill him? I presume the prosecution is in agreement. This can't be. Taketsuchi Ouchi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. You'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Ah! Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? Yes? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You've been conceited with age, Council. You've become conceited with age, Council. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. And he was going to cut his top knot off. And now he looks just like Pain does in Apollo Justice. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Aouchi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. It's really weird to see that Ryunosuke himself is, like, not the ace attorney here, and that his friend is. Kind of like a weird inherited thing now. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Ugh. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. Thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. A modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. Soon a young boy named Senku will probably save the entire world due to science. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what will it look like? I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. He has to assassinate the king. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo... Oh, yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. Hell yeah. Oh, we get Sakura instead of confetti. Very nice. Ouchie's still kind of staring. In disbelief there. This court is now adjourned. And for fuck's sake, yes, I know it's actually pronounced guilty. I was saying that as a joke. Please, I can try to be funny sometimes. Alright, same thing we've seen before, just 2:46 p.m. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work is certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Speaking of Mikotoba... Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit, after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. For Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that. What? But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But what's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case, somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed the friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments... It's a highly serious nature of political... it's a highly serious incident of political nature to our respective governments. They can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student. But it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. 2 E's in judgment there. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. You're not unhappy? You're not pissy that the person who killed your friend is dead? Is like getting away with this? But Professor... You're right. This is no time for gloomy faces. It's kind of tilted forward there. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest Le Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about the details for now. To La Carnival! Will you accompany us, Professor? Of course, I want to sit in the chair where my best friend died. La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh yes, thank you. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it's only right that at the very start. It was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer. I mean, oh no, not me! All that tense verbal combat. I never want to go through all that ever again. I just did what you told me to do. That's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean? That's the point. Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can be really backed into sometimes in the courtroom you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you choose to believe in, even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you faced seemingly hopeless situations time and again. You faced seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, through your own efforts, because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is... you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain. Don't forget. Ah, yes. That too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikotoba. Sato-san, who acted as my assistant. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through with that trial. What are you talking about? He had the evidence! But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. End. Owari. Defense debut awarded. The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band is the next chapter. I think it kind of... Oh, no, actually, it doesn't. So we had the Adventure of the Great Departure. Now we have the Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. On a boat. But we will obviously not be doing that now. So yeah, that was fun. That was really good. I'm looking forward to the rest of the games. The problem is I don't know how I'm going to stream this, because this is going to take a long time to stream. This is the kind of game that I'm probably better off playing on my own, but like at the same time, I started it, so maybe I should keep going? I don't know. I took a look through some of the special stuff. Break it up as much as you need. I know, this is going to be a long game, probably, if I do this. This character art, moving pictures. It's a bunch of promotional videos, actually. So that's cool. We might watch those at some point. Taylor has a bunch of, costumes, but they can only be used in the second game. They can't be used in the first game. Escapades are pretty cool. They're, apparently, little extra, things that pop up, over the course of the two games. Just, little side stories. In the first of the 8 escapades, Ryunosuke finds 2 troublemaking witnesses from his earlier trial having a battle of words in the defendant's antechamber, leading to a real tongue lashing. This escapade includes spoilers about the first game's story. Oh, these all have to do with the first game. It's really fun to hear you act out the different characters. Really? Well, I'm glad that they sound distinct enough. I mean, considering that, to me, it just sounds like I'm trying to just, slightly variant my own voice. I will say that it's obviously a lot harder since I'm doing all the dialogue myself, as opposed to, having a whole cast here for each character. I'm sure this first... Yeah, wait. From the earlier trial. Yeah, this is probably from the first trial only. So, we could probably do Escapade 1. No, so this is like an hour later. Just look at my priceless treasure now. Myself I have scrubbed and scrubbed, but the repellent odor of meat will never be repelled from its resplendent surface again. But you have it back in your possession at least. You should be grateful, old man. How dare you? Excuse me, but I'd just like to get at that Zabuton cushion there if I could. Rest assured, you miserable military malefactor, this is not over. Incarceration awaits all those who would defraud a senior citizen for his priceless treasures. Watch your tongue, old man. Mark my words. I won't. Sorry, Sergeant, but could I just get at that Zabuton cushion there as well? Oh. I won't go to jail. Never. Imagine if I did. The very next day, my boy would starve without a chain of command in place to provide for him. Using the child to protect yourself. Myself? Yourself. Myself? I call that abstinent cowardice. Oh, really? And just who employed the old poor defenseless senior citizen tactic, The only way to fight an enemy who's using an underhanded tactics is with a tit-for-tat strategy. Sorry to interrupt again, but I just need to get at that Western-style cushion there on that sofa. Enough of this insubordination. What do you want, man? Oh, please, don't mind me. Ha, do my eyes deceive me, or is this the wide-eyed criminal from the trial before? Wide-eyed, perhaps, but criminal? No. What is this unhealthy fascination you exhibit with the seating arrangements of others, Why were you peering under the cushion of this upholstered seat? Oh, well, the thing is... Any luck? Did you find it? No, sadly not. I don't think it's here, Kazuma. You really are a liability, Ryunosuke. Report! At once! Have you lost something? Is that it? Yes, we were just on our way to a party to celebrate my friend's victory here when... I realized that my university pin badge was missing. A university pin badge, you say? Yes, from my collar here, you see? Affirmative. Uniforms must be kept in prime condition at all times. A missing badge is unacceptable. I thought if I looked around, it would probably turn up somewhere. Like the old tale of the Koban coin and the steak. A parable of which I'm acutely aware. But I've exhausted my search now, really. The only logical conclusion is that someone must have stolen it. Don't look at me. I don't just find any old metal objects irresistible, you know. Imagine what would happen if little Trooper Ido here had swallowed something like that. I'm afraid we'll have to give up, Ryunosuke. Still, if you tell the office your student number, they should be able to issue you with a new one. What's the matter? Don't tell me. Yes, I don't remember my student number. I don't believe it. I mean, this is the second time you've lost your badge, isn't it? Third, actually. If you don't think you could remember it, you should have made a note of it somewhere. I told you that until I was blue in the face the last time this happened. Yes. I do seem to remember someone telling me something along those lines. It was you, wasn't it? You can't even remember who told you that you needed to remember it? Well, student numbers are 6 digits, Kazuma. Who could remember 6 whole digits? UMA isn't exactly a long-established university, you know. All of our numbers are still rather low. Also, what happened was powers of observation. In fact, they only used the last 3 digits. Well, that might help, I suppose. That might help? Ryunosuke, it's only 3 digits you needed to remember. Just 3! Sorry, my brain is such a disappointment. Yes, well, anyway, young man, myself, I was greatly impressed with you in the courtroom today. Oh, you mean me? A lawyer already before you've even graduated, and such a loyal friend to this one. This one? What's that supposed to mean? Oh no, I still have much to learn. In fact, that was brought home to me in no uncertain terms only last year. My Achilles heel was spectacularly exposed by my best friend here. Indeed? What? By me? This is the first I've heard about it. Yes, by Ryunosuke Naruhodo. You can't have forgotten, surely. It was last summer, at the speech contest. The speech contest? Oh, that. Contestants had to take the stage and deliver a public address on any subject they chose. We were competing to give the most compelling and powerful speech. And yours was great. It made a huge impression on the audience. Obviously, since I was a budding student of the law, I was determined to win. And sure enough, one by one my opposition fell. When I reached the final act at last, I came up against you. Yes, so you did. Not being rude, but when I first laid eyes on you, I thought to myself, this cheeky, wide-eyed no-hoper is out of his depth. He's going to be a pushover. That's your version of not being rude, is it? Well, I paid for my complacency because it brought on that humiliating defeat. Defeat? How are your ranks compromised? My speech was going very well. I had the audience in the palm of my hand. They hung on my every word. And then, when I came to the very last line... Yes, what happened at that very last line? was supposed to be a climactic end. Unfortunately, I completely fouled it up.
Never!
You mean you stumbled on your words? Spectacularly. Even now, I can't believe I ruined it. Well, what on earth did you say, man? Ryunosuke, you'd better say it. I still can't get my tongue around it. Sure, of course. I can still recall it perfectly. What you said at the end of your speech, or rather, what you intended to say at the end of your speech, was this. So arise, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud our forefathers' plight and the fight for filial piety. Oh my god, that's so easy to mess up. And what went wrong? What indeed? Myself, I see no problem with the pronunciation of those paltry words. Was expecting a she sells seashells by the seashore kind of thing, yeah. I mean, that's... Like, look at this, look at that. Plot our forefathers' plight and the fight for filial piety. So there's 3 words that start with F and 2 that start with P. So, very easy to mess that up. In that case, old man, I invite you to say it yourself. Very well, then, I shall. Ahem, ahem. So arise, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud our forefathers' plight and the fight for filial pile. It's impossible! The arise, ladies and gentlemen part I delivered perfectly. But the next part had me floundering for a whole 5 minutes. Oh my god, dude. By the end of it, I was on my knees in front of the podium, a blabbering mess. And that's when the audience started to heckle you. Arise, arise, they were shouting. Hell on earth. But then, of course, this man went and delivered his word-perfect speech with a perfect ending. How did it go again? Let me see. So, my dear fellows, the message is simple. Treat your father and mother with respect. Something like that. Yeah, I know. How did he trip over it for 5 minutes straight? Like, without just giving up at that point. I mean, talk about stating the obvious, but the fact is, I lost to that speech. Tongue-tied is the only way to describe it. Well, it is quite tricky to say, I agree. That final fight for filial piety, especially. And ever since that day, I've had this question whirling around my head. Why did our forefathers choose such an awkward phrase? Was it to mock their children? I mean, it should have never been called filial piety in the first pace. Ah! At least you're going to Great Britain soon. Might not come up much there. I accidentally muted myself for a second. Well, anyway, having lost that accursed contest, I came after you to ask you a question. How is it that you never trip up on your words? I inquired. And you just gave me a broad smile and said, speaking fast is my hobby. I mean, really? What kind of hobby is that? Do you think you could take your hand off your sword? Besides, it's just a way to pass the time. After that, you started talking to me 10 to the dozen, like you were possessed almost. Honestly, you can't imagine the shock I suffered that day. You really can't. You're right. I really can't. Speaking fast is just the sort of hobby I'd expect a civilian like you to waste his time on. Well, you have to practice, of course, but there are some simple things to start with. Like this famous one, for example. Swift samurai sword, swipe silently sideways. Ah, yes, even a decrepit tongue and an old ailing frame such as mine can find its way around that one. I've no doubt. Just a bit of fun, really. I can't imagine anyone would struggle to say it. True rapper spirit. Isn't that right, Kazuma? Swift samurai sword. Ah! A blabbering mess by word 2. It's not just the samurai. Every good soldier needs to be able to handle a sword. That's why I've been busy teaching Ido the finer points of swordplay. None of this wordplay nonsense, Private. Come to think of it, not long after that, we started to attend lectures together, didn't we? And we got into that debate about family values at the Sukiyaki place on campus. Do you remember? Yes, your argument was full of jokes and puns and wordplay as usual. I remember it well. Oh, was it? In any case, I swore that I would never let myself forget the shock that you gave me back then. And as a symbol of how seriously I took that oath, I decided to wear this, my red Hachimaki headband. Sorry, Kazuma. Yes? You've lost me there, I'm afraid. I don't see the link. What does your red headband have to do with your oath? Because it will always remind me of that smug look on your face as you utter those tantalizing words. What words? You mean another tongue twister? I practiced and practiced until my tongue bled, but in the end, I mastered it. Mastered what? Well, I think it's time you heard this, actually. Listen carefully now. Here goes. Red headband, lead headband, dead headband. There. Word perfect, see? Why did I deepen his voice there? That was weird. That was really weird to me. I'd actually been meaning to ask you about that. About the story behind your headband. I mean... Well, now you know, so that I'll never forget the shock and humiliation of that day. Sorry. That's why I wear this red headband every single day without fail. Well, I don't know exactly how much of a shock you think you had back then, but it can't be more than the shock you've just given me now. What do you mean? Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but the tongue twister I said didn't go the way you seem to have remembered it. Huh? It's just as famous as Swift Samurai Sword, so I can't believe you don't know it, really. It goes, red bread pan, lead bread pan, dead bread man. Wait, what? Red pan... Ugh. It seems I've knocked some wind out of that headband of yours. It's not too late, Private. You could always start wearing a red bread pan on your head instead. Your youthful vigor is manifest, young man. Your cheeks are glowing redder than your Hachimaki. Why do so many words have to be so similar? So, looking forward to Great Britain then, where you'll have to deliver speeches in court in English? I suppose I can always shell seashells on the seashore. Seashore. Haha, he said it. Alright, cool. Yeah, it definitely looks like the rest of these are later on in the game. But yeah, again, really cool. Oh look, it's in the courtroom now for some reason. I guess that's because where I last saved. But yeah, this was good. I'll figure out how I want to play the rest of this. Obviously, it's not going to be as pressing to finish as Neo World Ends With You and Fuga, as well as everything else happening in the next month or so. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that'll be it for Great Ace Attorney Chronicles for now. Definitely going to return to this at some point soon. Maybe next week. We'll see. Let me just stop the recording here.